If you've spent any time around this channel, you'll know that I have a slight obsession with finding different ways of completing the Joja route. Where most Stardew creators avoid the Joja route like the plague, I find value in exploring different ways of making as much money as possible as quickly as I can. And unlike others who feel like it's the root of all evil, did you catch that pun there? I think it's quite an interesting way to unlock Pelican Town improvements with very little stress compared to the community centre. You can attack me for this in the comments. This is your first time here? I'm Mo, and in this video I'll be attempting to complete the Joja route through money made by mining and combat only. Stick around to see how long it took me. To complete the Joja route you need to make a total of 140,000 gold, less any expenses, for example upgrading your tools or buying food. My most recent Joja run was to attempt it through fishing only. I managed that in 24 game days and learnt a lot of new things about fishing along the way. You can check that video out here. A very knowledgeable Stardew player and viewer of this channel saw that video and subsequently managed to do it in half that time, which is an incredible achievement. As with that challenge, I have set myself some rules for this one. I can only sell items gained from mining or combat. No foraging, fishing or farming allowed. This also includes foraging fibre or fishing in the mines. I can however sell anything dropped by enemies and smelt ores into bars and sell them. If you want to try this challenge at home, those are the rules. I should point out at this stage, as with all of my previous challenge runs, I have not read any guides or watched anyone else trying to do similar things. Despite having played this game for years, there's a lot of things I don't know and learn along the way. This is by no means an ultimate guide on how to make money through mining video, but more of a this is what I did and the mistakes I made and how I can do better next time video. Enough waffle. I begin by creating my character, selecting my clothes and farm. I've chosen the hilltop farm this time as various rocks and ores spawn there and that counts as mining, so that's some extra money right there. They also respawn regularly, so it's a little extra cash and experience on the side, close to home. As usual, we skip the intro and dive headfirst into day 1. As many of you will know, the mines don't actually open until day 5 of the game, so technically we're losing 5 days of potential money making. This is where the hilltop farm comes in clutch. You can already start mining and leveling up. Although I can't make money from foraging, I can chop trees to make chests. I placed one at Clint's shop because that's where I'm going to be breaking geodes and I might run out of inventory space, so it's useful to have something there to put items in. It didn't take me long to hit level 2 mining and unlock the furnace recipe so I could start smelting my ores into bars. I wanted to try and get to mining level 10 as quickly as possible, as that's where some of the really useful money making perks get unlocked. Later on I'll tell you something really interesting I found out about how mining XP works in Stardew Valley, so stay tuned for that tidbit of information. On day 5 I was finally granted access to the mines. I stowed away all my tools apart from my pickaxe, took a spare chest and headed over there right away. I only paused momentarily on the way to pick up some edible forageables. I wasn't allowed to sell these, but I would need to eat them for energy. After getting my sword from Marlon, I put down a chest at the elevator entrance and got to mining. Now 2 things that don't mix well are a small bag and a day of mining. My 12 slot inventory was going to fill up fast and I needed somewhere to keep all my precious loot, hence the chest at the top of the mines. As long as I went up there to transfer my items every 5 levels of the mines, I wouldn't lose my progress, and I wouldn't have to sacrifice much loot. As well as the chest, I also built my first furnace and placed it at the entrance so I could smelt ores as I mined. I made a total of 5 copper bars that first day, which would be necessary to upgrade my pickaxe. I could have sold these bars right away, however, I knew that taking the miner perk at level 5 and then the blacksmith perk at level 10 would grant me a 50% boost to the value of metal bars. So my plan was to save up all the bars I made, apart from the ones I'd need to upgrade my equipment, and sell them all when I reached level 10 of mining. I must have had good luck on this day as I was getting stairs very easily. I managed to make it down to level 15 by 11 PM. I didn't bother checking my luck each day because it wasn't going to make any difference to my plan. I was going into the mines good luck or bad, so it's pointless to waste time watching TV. Us mining folk don't have time for television. I didn't have anything to sell, however my excellent fighting skills got me to level 1 combat, and that was the end of day 5. On day 6 I did the same thing that I'll be doing pretty much every single day in these videos. I mined. Don't worry, I won't just show you footage of me mining endlessly day after day. Let me cut to the good stuff. As well as trying to increase my mining level as quickly as possible, I obviously had to make a lot of money, not just for the Joja route, but also to upgrade my pickaxe. Knowing I was destined for iron and gold ore in the mines, a stronger pickaxe would be necessary, and costly. I didn't need anything higher than a steel pickaxe for the purpose of this run, but that was still going to set me back a total of 7,000 gold, 2,000 for the copper pickaxe and another 5 for the steel one. Not to mention that upgrading my pickaxe would also cost me mining days. Something I didn't think about until it happened, as you'll see later on. Anyway, this meant that my immediate goal for the next day or two was to make enough money to upgrade my pickaxe. This was an investment, I told myself, and got to digging. Remember that I was trying not to sell any metal bars I smelt until level 10 mining, so I had to try and make the money selling everything else. In my sudden panic realizing that I needed to start making money, I foolishly sold quartz instead of refining it. Refined quartz doesn't become more valuable like metal bars when you reach level 10, but it's still worth double the value of unrefined quartz. I kicked myself later on when I realised this. Still though, by the end of that day I managed to get a new sword, reach level 25 of the mines, hit level 3 of mining, and make a total of 586 gold. On day 7 I picked up the dwarf scroll and handed it over to Gunther. I had no intention of donating items to the museum, but the scroll is hardly worth any money at all. However, donating any one item to the museum gets you 250 gold as a reward. As the scroll came from the mines, it would be completely acceptable to trade it in for a reward and not break the rules of my run. So I did. I reinvested some of my copper ore into building additional furnaces so I could smelt more bars at once. By the end of the day I had reached level 2 in combat and made another 314 gold. This gave me enough to upgrade my pickaxe, which I would do the following day. Come day 8, I spent the morning doing a bit of mining as I waited for Clint to open. After getting to level 45 in the mines, I took my 5 copper bars and my 2,000 gold and upgraded my pickaxe. That's when I realised that I now have nothing to do for 2 days until it would be ready. I went to bed at 3 PM. As always, I had been a fool. I couldn't mine, but I could still fight. I had ventured far enough down the mines now that I could easily take the elevator between a variety of levels looking for trouble, and that's exactly what I did on day 9, which proved very useful as I managed to complete a monster slaying goal. I headed over to the Adventurers Guild to collect my reward, the Insect Head Sword. Right, let me take a second now to explain to you how goated this weapon is. In the 1.5 version of the game, the sword got debuffed, reduced from a level 6 to a 4. However, in Stardew 1.6 its level was bumped back up to a 6 and its damage output was increased from 10 to 20 damage to 20 to 30. With a +2 to weapon speed and a +2 to critical strike chance, this sword is extremely powerful, especially considering you can get it at a pretty low combat level. So word of advice. If you're exploring the mines at those early levels, kill 80 cave insects as quickly as you can and grab this sword from Gil. By the end of the day I had reached level 3 in combat and made a sweet 662 gold. It's something. On day 10 my copper pickaxe was ready and so was my pet. Marnie dropped a beautiful dog that morning who I named Copper to mark the occasion. I didn't sit on my hands waiting for Clint to open, instead I rushed over to the mines and killed some creatures for a couple of hours. Once I had my shiny new pickaxe I continued to explore the mines, just making it down to level 60 in time to rush home. Oh, and look who finally realised they could refine quartz and sell it. I got to level 4 mining by the end of day 10, making a mere 508 gold. This daily income would need to increase, and fast if I was going to get anywhere on this challenge. The time for messing around is over. I've got to make some serious cash, people. With little more than determination on my side, I was adamant that I was going to start making some decent money on day 11. I hit those mines like my life depended on it. Once again, it must have been a good luck day as I managed to get from level 60 to level 80 by around 8 PM. I even leveled up both combat to level 4 and mining to level 5 during the day. I was unstoppable. To celebrate my good fortune and mining prowess, I gave myself a gift. I forged myself a glowstone ring, which not only lights up the area around you, but also increases your collection radius. The end of the day saw me make an incredible 2,885 gold. That's more like it. Now that I was in the lava levels, I was getting far more precious gems such as emeralds, rubies and diamonds. By day 13 I had reached level 100 of the mines, got my star drop and hit level 6 mining and level 5 in combat. For my combat profession I chose fighter, which not only causes 10% more damage to enemies, it also gives me an additional 15 HP. More HP means less chance of me dying and less food that I need to eat for health recovery as opposed to energy recovery. By the time I got to day 14 I was sitting on over 8,000 gold and that money was starting to burn a hole in my pocket. I decided to bite the bullet and make two big purchases. First was the 5,000 gold for the steel pickaxe. I made some of it back by selling items from geodes directly to Clint. I then splashed out 2,000 gold on the extortionate Pierre handbag so that I could get some more inventory slots. I was picking up so many items now that constantly going up and down to unload was interrupting my mining flow. Another necessary investment for my own well-being, I felt. Despite having no pickaxe, a careful balance of blowing up rocks and sheer dumb luck saw me get to the bottom of the mines with quite literally one hit point to spare. Quite an achievement, I thought. I paid for it the next day, however, when I got too cocky and died at level 91. Thankfully it only ended up costing me 100 gold and a winter root. I ran home with my tail between my legs that night. I won't be making that mistake again. On day 17 I finally forked over the 5,000 gold I'd need to become a member of the Joja Mart, thereby closing the community centre forever and making the entire Stardew gaming community hate me. I was back to hardly any money and looking at the Joja price list I had my eye on unlocking the bus first. Although it's the most expensive project to unlock, it's also the most useful for me, as I could potentially make a lot more money in the Skull Caverns than the Pelican Town mines. Panning and the greenhouse are of no immediate benefit to me, and although useful, the minecarts and quarry won't yield as much of a benefit as the Skull Caverns. Was this the right choice? We'll find out. On day 18 I got a free 500 gold in the mail. Although not explicitly mentioned in the rules, there's not really anything I can do about it, so I will gladly take that, please and thank you. Now, although I wasn't specifically aiming to donate to the museum, I figured that donating the dwarf scrolls would not really be too much trouble or waste much time. The added bonus would be that it would allow me to speak to the dwarf trader in the mines, and he's got some interesting items for sale. Like the miner's tree, which I greedily bought in case I needed it. It was a complete waste of money. Don't do it. I also thought that I would buy bombs from him, but given the cost when I checked, I realised it would be better for me to build bombs from the ores I collected. The amount of time and energy I would save blowing up rocks instead of breaking them with a pickaxe would very quickly replenish my spent ores and then some. Moral of the story? Don't bother with dwarf scrolls or the dwarf trader. Unlike the Motown Discord server. Go ahead and check this out. Hey you! Yes, you! Do you like video games? Are you a bit of a geek? Do you have trouble making friends with like-minded individuals? Well, stop searching for friendship, because at the Motown Discord server we've got just the friends for you. Whether you're into video games like Stardew or Baldur's Gate 3, maybe you like Dungeons & Dragons, or perhaps you just want to look at photos of cute pets like Lumos or Maple here. The Motown server has it all. We're a close-knit community of gamers, streamers and geeks. You'll be sure to find a place to fit in, provided you're not a complete asshole. Check out the link in the description to join today. This promotion was paid for by That British Mo. Membership subject to terms and conditions. Joining the server won't guarantee you friendship but will greatly increase your odds of making friends. Dickheads will be banned. I'm That British Mo and I approve this message. Welcome back from that very cheesy ad break. The next few days were spent pretty much just grinding in the mines. I managed to get to level 9 mining and level 7 combat whilst racking up as much cash as I could. I was desperately trying to get to level 10 mining so I could sell those bars I'd been making, but it wouldn't happen for some days yet and it was starting to bug me. By this point in my fishing challenge, I'd already completed it, which answers the question, which is more lucrative, mining or fishing? But should I have sold my metal bars already? Or am I doing the right thing by holding out for level 10? Also, why is it taking so long to get to level 10? So many questions. Thankfully, I found this awesome hat to take my mind off my troubles. Isn't it fetching? Actually, in retrospect, I think that hat made my head too big and I thought myself invincible. Remember when I died in the mines on day 15 and I said, I'll never make that mistake again? Look, I don't want to talk about it, okay? I especially don't want to talk about the 1300 gold, the iridium bar and the ruby that I lost. Let's just move on, alright? By day 32 I finally made enough money to unlock the bus. I spent the rest of the day farming coal from sprites, which in turn led to completing a monster eradication goal, the reward for which was this very useful burglar's ring. The burglar's ring causes enemies to drop more loot. Perfect for this run. On day 33, after completing some dull admin tasks, I finally got my backside over to the desert for the first time and dived straight into the Skull Caverns. Honestly, it was probably the best first day dive of the Skull Caverns I've ever done. Considering I didn't have the Galaxy Sword, I managed to get to level 34 before deciding to head home. I even got to level 9 in combat, made over 2000 gold that day, so I was pretty happy overall. I started to up my ore smelting production with the furnaces now located on my farm as opposed to the mines. Given that I'd be in the Skull Caverns every day now, there was no need to keep smelting at the mines. By day 36 not only did I make enough money to unlock the bridge, but I also finally reached level 10 in mining, and this is where I learned something about mining XP in Stardew Valley. I always thought that you got XP from every rock you broke or blew up, so I spent ages going around breaking every single rock I saw. This, however, isn't the case. Inside the mines, only certain rocks give you XP. Normal grey rocks don't give you any XP unless they happen to drop an ore. Outside the mine, however, every rock gives you XP. That means the quarry is not just a stone or gem farm, it's an XP farm as well. So is the mining area in the hilltop farm. I had to read this up on the wiki, and once I had, I focused my energy on mostly breaking rocks in the mines that would definitely yield XP. If I had known this before, I could have got to level 10 so much sooner, and now that's something I know for next time. After reaching level 10 and selecting the blacksmith perk, I had to wait for the next day before selling all the bars. I did that and made a total of 74,000 gold. This was just higher than what I needed to unlock the rest of the development projects. So waiting until level 10 to sell the bars was the right choice. Had I sold them earlier when they weren't worth 50% more, I wouldn't have made enough money. I unlocked the greenhouse right away. On day 38 I unlocked panning. I was looking to finish pretty soon now. On day 39, however, there was a town event, so I was locked out of Joja Mart. I wouldn't be able to unlock the final item until the next day, which I did. Day 40 I unlocked the mine carts. The challenge was complete. I just had to wait for the next day for Joja Mart to throw their celebration, hail me a victor, give me my cola machine, and that would be done. Except it didn't happen. Because for the next 2 days, it rained, which means the Joja celebration didn't trigger until day 43 of my challenge. I felt like a fool. If only I had gotten to level 10 slightly sooner, I would have shaved off at least 3 to 4 days from this challenge. But I didn't. And so here we are. 15th of summer, year 1, 43 days of mining, and I finally completed the Joja route. That's nearly twice as long as it took me from fishing. When I was doing this challenge with fishing only, I could start fishing on day 2, I didn't have to wait till day 5, and every time I upgraded my fishing pole it didn't stop me from fishing. Mining was going to take a little more planning, which is something I didn't appreciate beforehand. Isn't hindsight wonderful? Personally, I was quite surprised that it took so long to make this much money with mining. With fishing I got to level 10 so much sooner. The fish were worth a lot more money than most of the random stuff you find in the mines, and I completed the challenge far sooner. I went into this run thinking that mining would win out against fishing for making money, but it appears that's not the case. I'd love to know any tips you might have on how to make money with mining faster, and what's the quickest time you've got to level 10 in mining. Comment below with the challenge run you'd like to see me attempt next. Finally, before I go, I want to give a huge shout out to our amazing channel members: Bim94, MichelleRomy, Dany, Meadow, and Riks. Bim, Michelle and Dany are all tier 2 members and so have animals on my live stream farm. You can catch that live stream every Thursday on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks, and see you again next time.